Welcome to USB Hole, the podcast where we talk out of our asses. I'm Chill,
I'm a child.
and this week we're going to be talking about weird things that have happened at past jobs. And it could be horrible things, weird things, crazy things. We're just going to talk about everything.
Yeah, anything interesting?
So I figured that I would start with probably my most recent job before the one I have now, because it's going to be the shortest story. We'll do a little back and forth. So I've been at my job currently for about 4.5 years. So this happened about 5 years ago, right as I got out of college. I got a job at like a, I don't even remember what the hell it was because
This is
let's
a
be,
great story. We're off to a great start.
well, the whole reason I don't really know what it is because I worked there for 4 days. So
Oh.
it was like a marketing company. They did stuff with yellow pages, and we went to local companies and we marketed them on like Google and Yelp, and we created pages for them. I don't know. It was a really weird thing. It felt kind of like a pyramid scheme, but I guess it was reputable. I don't know. Anyway, so I worked there for 4 days, and the first day I was there, they trained me, and basically the job was data entry. So I didn't even know what the hell the job was because they were just like, "Do you want a job here?" And I was like, "Sure." So, and because I knew people that worked there, so they kind of like referred me and stuff. So $11 an hour. And like I said, this was 5 years ago and I just got out of college. So that was really terrible. And ask me why I took that. Couldn't tell you. But so I worked there, got trained the first day, and then they pretty much let me do my own thing the second day. Second day, I was doing my job and I had to like enter data from something that the salespeople wrote out. This was the most boring job in the world, and
It sounds really boring.
I'm sorry to start this podcast with the most boring description of a job, but you need to know because basically all I was doing, salespeople would write stuff by hand. This is 2017 again, and then they would send it a picture of it to me. I would enter the data into our system. I would create like all the Yelp and Google pages and everything, and then I would send it over to someone else for review. Every single fucking time, the person who was reviewing it came back and said, well, I was looking at the handwritten one and it looks like you missed this, or you wrote this weird, or you did this wrong. And I'm like, if you're looking at the handwritten one, what the fuck is my job for? Like, why aren't you doing it? So
Yeah.
I was like, I don't understand the point of this. So day three, I went to lunch. You get an hour lunch, which is too much in my opinion. And I got stuck behind a train that was stopped on the tracks for about an hour and a half. Came back half an hour late for lunch. They didn't like that. So day three, I got called into the manager's office and she's like, "Are you happy here?" And I was like, I don't know how to answer this. Um, because honestly, no. And um 2 weeks before I started this job, I had another job where I was working with my best friend who literally just ghosted me, and I was super depressed. So, this boring ass job on top of being depressed from losing my best friend, I was like, you're right. I fucking hate this job. So, day four, anything I brought on my desk, I packed into my purse, like super sneaky, because we all had cubicles, but we were all right next to each other. So, I was like super sneaky, just loading everything one by one throughout the day. And then I left and never came back. So I did at like 10 p.m. I was kind of drunk and I did leave a message, a voicemail. It wasn't unprofessional, but I left a voicemail for my boss saying I am not coming back. And then I heard nothing from them.
Oh.
So then I was unemployed for 6 months after that because I just up and quit without nothing in my back pocket. But now I'm at a good job where I'm not just sitting there staring at a computer wanting to just lay down and die all day. So
Yeah.
that's a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I'll tell like a little one because I have one that's kind of like that, where like I worked there for like 4 days, if that.
Oh, good. I'm
So,
not the only one.
yeah, well, this was like I was 16, so it was probably 2002, 2003. And so I had already been working at like a job that I worked at for a while, but I wanted another job. So, as a teenager, I wanted more money. So there was like there's this huge like telemarketing company like in this area where I lived when I was in high school, and they paid $14 an hour for, and I was like, 2002, 2003, fourteen
That's
dollars
not
an
bad.
hour. Yeah, and being 16. So I was like, all right. So I go and, it's like the original old school telemarketing doing surveys over the phone, not trying to sell stuff. You just ask them all the questions. Well, when
Right.
I went to apply for the job, like they did the interviews in groups. So you filled out your application and you brought it in, it was paper, and you dropped it off, and then they would bring you in like the groups or whatever if they were going to interview you. So I'm sitting in this room and it's me and another applicant and then the person interviewing us. And they give us this little sheet of paper to share, and they're like, okay, well, part of your interview is how well you can read and, relay the stuff because you'll be interviewing people over the phone. And so they have me read this little prompt thing. Like, so I read it, and then it's like how fast you can read, your accuracy of like how much you stumble, if the words are correct or whatever. And then I hand it to the kid sitting next to me for him to read it. And the poor kid, like, I'm freaking out. Like, I'm like, man, this is a lot of anxiety. Why am I have to read this next to this kid? But like did a pretty good job because that's, what my focus in schooling and like things that I was really into, like reading.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm a decent reader, I should be all right. And then this poor kid can't get past like the first sentence because he stumbled, and then you could tell he was nervous. So then he stumbled again. And he's like, can I just start over? And then he goes to start over, and the lady's like, no, that's enough. And I'm like, oh my God, this poor kid is so nervous. I'm like, already, I'm like, man, I feel really bad because like now I'm getting this job and this kid isn't, but like maybe he's a better reader when he's not having to read, in a dual person interview. So yeah, I get the job and then I go and it's like 2 days of training where we're just sitting in a room, like reading these prompts out loud to each other. And then like the third day I go and like we're on the actual phone, and again, you like read or whatever. So like the first day that I'm on the actual phone, there's still like a person that's like by you and comes and checks every so often or whatever, like down the line. And you're just in this room with like rows and rows of people sitting at computers reading these prompts. It was horrible. But so the first night, like this guy he's like, yeah, I'll do the thing, whatever. So like I do a short one, he doesn't qualify. So then you got to go do another one. Well then, so like the next one, again I'm 16, and this guy's like, I'm trying to eat dinner, you fucking asshole, and hangs up on me because that's
Mm.
what people do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so sad. So I like was kind of cried a little bit, but
Oh,
um. Then I get the next one, and the guy's qualifying for all the questions, so he keeps, the survey's getting longer and longer, and then like the little checker lady comes over and she's like, hey, we're closing soon, so you need to wrap up this call. And I'm like, there's still questions. And it just keeps putting them on and putting them on. So like 45 minutes, everyone else in the whole place is gone except for me and the manager. They already have like all half the lights off. And I'm like, I don't know how to get off this call. I'm like, this is my first day. Somebody help me. So then I finally get the person off the call, and then they're like reprimanding me for not doing this fast enough because it's not a fast enough turnaround rate. But I'm like, how do I get somebody through this faster when I have to ask this question and they have to answer it? And it's like a 200 question survey. And I'm like, this is crazy. So then I get out to the parking lot. I'm like hysterically crying because, this guy yelled at me, hung up on me. And then like the manager reprimanded me. So then I get home and I'm like telling my mom about it. And she's like, it's okay, you can quit. So I like called the next day and I was like, yeah, this is Teresa and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to be coming back to work there. Thank you. And then like just never went back. And then I think I did have to go pick up a paper check. I don't think there was like direct deposit. But yeah, I was like, well, that's the shortest job I ever had.
I mean, for $14 an hour, that's probably why they were paying so much because things like that happen all the time to
Uh,
them,
yeah,
especially for a 16-year-old. Like, they should have made that 18 and up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I probably could have gotten used to, like, the people yelling at me. Like, the combination of the person whose house I called and I interrupted his dinner yelling at me, and then the person who didn't train me how to get somebody off of the phone yelling at me on my first day. I was like, "Yeah, this is not an environment that my crybaby self can handle." Like, I
Yeah.
would have been in there crying every day.
Yeah, I don't blame you because I feel like the only time that I really screw up on anything is when someone is watching me do it. Like
Mhm.
if I need to do a phone call and I'm by myself, no one else is around, I can do it perfectly. But all of a sudden your boss walks in and it's like I've never
This
spoken
is the
before
first
in my life.
this is my first time using a telephone. What is this
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
So I don't blame you.
Okay, give me another one.
Okay, so the job before, oh, I guess it wasn't the job before the one I quit, but 2 jobs before I worked at a pizza place, a second pizza place, not the first one I worked at. So this place, I think I
You
was
worked
at
at 2 pizza places?
yeah. And the funny thing is the second one I worked at, he used to own the first one I worked at, but not when I worked there.
Did you
So,
get free pizza?
yes.
Cool.
You could pretty much eat anything you wanted as long as you made it and as long as you weren't being overly like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this for my 8-person family." Like,
Oh,
you can make
okay,
food for yourself.
cool.
So, at this job, I didn't last here long because, spoiler alert, I got fired. So, I would say this one was about 8 months, but this is the only job I ever got fired from. And long story short, it's because the owner's wife, who was also an owner, but not the same one that owned the first one, she was a giant bitch. So, and I don't care if she hears this, like, you're a bitch. So, when I worked there, I didn't work with her that much. She was there maybe 1 day a week when I worked, 1 or 2. And if I was making a salad or something, she'd be like, "Oh, look at you trying to watch your weight. That's good for you." Like, she would
Oh
fat shame me
my
all the
god.
time.
How old would you say you were, like, estimate?
That was 2012, so I was 21.
Okay. Still
So,
wrong, but just wondering if you were, like, a teen or something.
yeah,
Okay.
so she just kinda hated me, and I think I know why, but I'm not gonna talk about it. Nothing I did,
Mhm.
but she would call me fat all the time, and there's not really much else to say about this job other than she was a bitch. But the reason I got fired is because I was talking about wages, which that's illegal to fire someone for,
Mm.
but she lied on my unemployment. So therefore, I did not get unemployment and I wasn't able to sue because Illinois was an at-will state. So basically, what was happening was they opened a bar across the street and they were having people work there for $5 an hour. And they don't own either of these places anymore, so I don't give a shit if someone goes after them. So they were paying the bartenders $5 an hour, which was more than like normal bartend or waitress or waiter. Like, it was more than the hourly was required for that type of job. So you know how waiters usually make like
Mhm.
$2 an hour or whatever it is. I don't know. I was never a waiter. So these bartenders were telling me that sometimes they would work in the morning and they would literally just make $5 an hour. No one would come in and nobody would tip them. So I was like, well, I hope you know that they then have to give you minimum wage. Like, if your tips and your wage don't add up to the federal minimum wage or the minimum wage of the state, and I hope
Yeah,
all you
that's
young
what it's
people
like down here
listening,
too. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a law in almost every state. If it does not meet the state's minimum and you're only getting paid like $2 an hour, they have to make up the difference in your check. And I don't know if that's a weekly thing or a biweekly thing. You would have to look into it. But I told them that because some weeks these people were only working 1 or 2 days a week. So obviously their check wasn't at minimum.
Mhm.
So this other bitch that worked there caught word. I'm sorry for calling all these people bitches, but that's what they were. So this other person caught word of me talking about it, and my boss called me while I was about to go into class and said, "You can't talk about other people's wages." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever. I knew you could," but I was just placating her. I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm sorry. Like, I won't do it again. I don't care." So I thought all was fine and dandy. I get into class and it's the middle of class and I get another call and I didn't answer it because I'm in class. Then I get a text from my boyfriend who worked at the bar across the street saying, "I'm so sorry." And I was like, "What the fuck are you apologizing to me for?" And he was like, "She's firing you." And I was like, "What?" So I listened to the voicemail and she left a voicemail to fire me. So I was like, "That's shitty, but okay."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, I don't even care." Like I texted her and I was like, "You know what? You're a piece of shit," basically. And she wouldn't say anything over text, so I didn't have anything on her or whatever. But the
Mm.
next day, my boyfriend was supposed to work at the bar and he just no call, no showed. And
Oh,
that,
solidarity.
yeah, so that was the
So
end of
sweet.
that job.
Oh, and for no reason. Like,
Nope.
well, yeah, because she would have had to pay all those people if they were gonna start standing up for themselves. You think that's
Yeah,
why she did it?
probably. And just the fact that she hated me for reasons we won't get into.
Oh,
But
so she
also,
just you think she just used that as a reason to be able to fire you?
I think so. I obviously can't say for sure because she wouldn't admit it, but that's
Yeah.
just what I'm thinking. Also, when she called me, she told me I can't talk about someone's start date because I was asking when my friend like started working there because we thought we started at the same time. It was just a personal conversation kind of
Hmm.
making its way into work because I was like, "Does anyone remember when she started?" She said I can't talk about that either. I was like, "What the hell does that matter?" So yeah, I've never been more happy to be fired from a place.
Yeah, it sounds like it wasn't a really good environment to be in anyway.
No, I was looking for another job because I was planning on quitting, but she fired me before I could find one, so
Mm,
oh well.
yeah. Good riddance. Goodbye.
Mhm.
Do you have any like funny old job stories?
Funny.
Like laugh, like bring us a good laugh in here?
Do you? Because I was gonna save that for last.
Oh,
I
save
mean,
that for
I
last.
have I
Okay.
have two more jobs to talk about. I don't know how many you
Okay.
have, but I think the funniest stuff I was gonna make you wait till the end for.
Oh, leave me hanging on the
Yeah.
seat of
Get
my
the
edge of my seat. The seat of
get
my
the get the
edge.
depressing stuff out of the way.
Okay, okay. Let me make a plug real fast. So hit
Okay.
us up on Twitter with your horrible job stories or funny job moments at Chillin' Child on Twitter, and we'll reply. Have a little conversation over there, or maybe bring your comments back around in a future episode, or also hit us up with a Dear Diary entry. Remember, hashtag Dear Diary at Chillin' Child, and give us a Dear Diary entry about your horrible jobs.
Absolutely. I love hearing about other people's horrible jobs. Like, not because I want them to suffer, but because we've all suffered. So I want to hear your stories too.
Yeah, it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself,
Right.
but you can still empathize with them in their stories. Um, I mean, I've had a lot of really interesting jobs. Well, actually, I really haven't had a lot of jobs. Because most of the time my jobs have extended over longer periods of time. Um, so I mean, it wasn't really a horrible job, but I was a substitute teacher for 3 years, like straight out of high school. 'Cause, when I was in high school, I worked half a day at an elementary school for 2 years, and then got my certification to be a sub before I even graduated. But I had to wait to be 18 because of, like the state requirements, and plus, I mean, you really shouldn't be teaching students if you're not 18. But what are you gonna do? Oh, yeah. Um, and then so I did that for, like I said, like 3 years. But when I started, like, they put you in a pool. So like if you've never been a sub, which I feel like it's kind of common down here. I don't know what it's like everywhere else. Like growing up, you'd have the subs and they would do like nothing. You just like watch a movie. Well, they're like I always wound up in the classes where like you did stuff, so you didn't just like sit and watch a movie, which was kind of cool because I feel like that'd be boring. But yeah, so like I said, I was freshly 18 and all of about 5 foot tall and looked like I was probably like 15.
One of the
So
kids.
yeah, definitely there were, I mean, you got put into like a pool and then like the phone would ring and it would tell you like there's an opening at this class. Do you want to accept it? Whatever. And it would tell you the school. Well, so like sometimes it would send me to like high schools and like literally some of these students are older than me. And I'm like, this is not cool, guys. This is
That's so
not cool.
weird.
So it's like aside from like trying to like get them to respect you as like an authoritative figure and not like just someone in the class, like just dealing with people who are literally older than me as I'm like walking through the hall and stuff. And they'd be like, some like there'd be faculty members that'd be like, hey, you can't go in there. And I'm like, no, it's cool. I'm a sub. Because like I just look like a child. So then I was like, all right, this isn't gonna work. I can't do high schools. So like figure out how you can make it to where you only get like certain types of schools or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I like, I tried a couple elementary schools and like, man, the kids in elementary school are like horrible. Like they definitely don't listen. um and I didn't want to be like, sometimes you'd have those subs that like stand up in the front of the class that would just be like nasty and yell at you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that's not me. So like I continue like bouncing between like different grades or whatever. And then I did a couple classes at a middle school and like the kids were like great and it was like one specific middle school and then like I kept getting calls back for there. And then there's like a coordinator who's in charge of like setting up the subs or whatever. At least that's in Florida. I don't know what it's like everywhere else, or at least in our county, whatever. So the coordinator at this one middle school that I had been to a few times was like, hey, we're getting such great feedback from all the teachers, all the classes that you're in. We want you to just go full time for our school. So I was like, all right, cool. Because like I said, those students were really good. And like that age group kind of worked the best because they were like young enough to recognize me as an adult, but old enough to also be like, hey, she's really cool. Let's listen to her. So they like took me out of the auto dial thing and they literally gave me a job every day. So I didn't even like get signed up or anything. I would just show up and they'd give me a class. And then, sorry, I keep hitting my table. Sorry about that. Shaking if you're on the video version. But yeah, so I eventually wound up like the second and third year. I exclusively was in the same group of classes because they would do like these little pods where like 4 classes and it was like the same group of kids would rotate. So I had the same kids for the whole year, and then the next year I had the same kids for the whole year. And then by the third year, I just was in the same class. So I don't know what this teacher did, but she did something like with the state and like set curriculums and stuff. So she was like pretty much out almost the entire year. She would work like one day and then like I'd be in a different class in that same pod or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so she would do all the lesson plans and I would just teach the class as if I were the teacher, but without having to do the hard part. And then like anytime like a new kid would come, like it was a geography class. So we're doing like the lesson or whatever, and there's a new kid and he tried to pull like oh, it's a sub, so I'm gonna like try and, show my ass type of thing. And I don't remember what he said, but it was something really rude and like crass, like a middle school boy should not be saying to a female teacher, or really in general. And again, mind you, so by like the third year, so I was like 20, I would say I was probably 20 at that point, and maybe 21. And one of the other kids stands up from across the room and he's like, shut your mouth, we don't talk to miss. And then like my last name, like that, shut the fuck up. And I was like, oh God, well, okay, cool. Thanks for thinking I'm so cool that you guys aren't gonna mess with me, but also you can't say that.
Watch your mouth.
So then it was like, all right, well, I guess these kids like me too much because like you still have to have like that in between. So then we had to like, they like understand that. But they were really cool. Like those groups of kids were cool. But I would see them. So I lived really close to that school. So the grocery store that I would go to was like right by the school, and I would see the kids from there all the time. And I'm like, ugh, I don't like this. Because you'd be like out trying to grocery shop, and the kids like yelling your name across the way, but you're not actually
I'm
the
not
teacher.
here.
So the parent is like, well, who is this person and why are you trying to talk to them in the store? And then I just look like an adult like talking to kids at the store. And so, but yeah, it was weird. It was cool because like the hours worked out. I have like the weekends and stuff off, but I also was going to school at the time. I went to school online, um, so that I could work all week, and then I did like a few night classes. But in the summers, I didn't have an income, so I was like, yeah, this isn't working for me to pay for school and like not work all, like all summer long and
Yeah.
pay my rent and stuff because I um lived on my own at the time. So I was like, it wasn't working. So I wound up leaving for a higher paying year round job. But I mean, I think it was pretty fun. I probably would not ever go back and do that again, especially not now with my anxiety and like how I feel about being in groups of people. But it was like interesting. So not like a horrible job, more
It
like
was a
just like
good experience,
a
just
different, yeah,
different,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And now I'm like, ew, kids, gross, get away. But I liked molding their young minds back then. But
I know, I
that's
wanted to
weird.
be a teacher at one point, and then I was just like, I can't do it. I don't even like kids. Why did I even think about this?
Yeah, you have to like kids to be a teacher.
Yeah, I would have been a high school teacher, but because I don't mind teenagers, I just don't like middle school kids can be little shits, and then young kids, like you said, don't listen. So,
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah, and this time frame would have been like 2005 through like 2008.
yeah,
So that's a lot different than now and how kids are now.
right.
Granted, I'm much older and I look much older now, but still, no, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Uh,
I can talk about the other pizza place now. And if you see me looking down, it's because I'm using my phone and I have notes because remembering things is not easy for me.
yeah, chill is the worst memory,
I do.
but
And the best
yeah.
memory all at the same time. Like I can remember the weirdest shit, but you try and ask me what I had for lunch yesterday, no idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing, there's this guy. I'm not going to name any names, but I will talk about him when we talk about creepy people in a podcast in the future. So forewarning. But he went on a delivery once. So we would be like food preppers. We would take orders and do deliveries kind of all in one. We didn't have set jobs. I was a manager, but like we kind of did everything. So he was out delivering and we get a call. I can't remember if I was in the shop or not when we got the call. I think I was. But he called and was like, "I'm going to be back a little late from this delivery." And we're like, "Why?" And he's like, "I just accidentally backed into the garage of the customer we were delivering to."
Oh
And I was like,
no.
"No, you did not." And this dude, I would say, especially not going to name any names because this is probably super illegal, but he was messed up all the time.
Mm.
So I don't know what he was on or if he was on anything at the time, but he definitely dented this dude's garage. So that was fun. So they had to exchange insurance and all that, and he came back later and it was all fine. But I just thought it was funny. Another thing, this job was a hot mess and it does not exist anymore. The company does not exist anymore. Unfortunately, both the owner and the manager have passed away, so
Mm.
it is now a different company, but there were some times there. I worked there for over 6 years, or just a little under 6 years, since I was 15 to 22 or 21. I can't do math. Don't ask me to do math. So I should have more stories, but I think just most of it was so fucked up I don't want to remember it. But I'll tell you a few weird things. So my boss used to sleep under the registers. So he would, if it was slow, he would
At the
like,
pizza place.
yeah. So if it was slow, he would just take like a box or I don't know, I can't think of words right now. He would just take a box, lay it under there, and then fall asleep. And there would be people coming up to the drive-through. And first off, this isn't a real drive-through. It was just a pickup window that he decided to turn into a drive-through. So there were no speakers. There was no way for me to take your order before you got to the window, and we weren't fast food. So you can imagine on a Friday night how backed up this thing would get, and it was super annoying. So he would be sleeping under the register. I would have someone come up to the drive-through, and I would have to use this register as he's just laying under there snoring away. I was
Could
like,
they see him?
sometimes, yeah, it depended on how high their truck was. Like if they had a lifted truck or something, they could totally see him.
Oh my god.
And I was like, dude, get up. So that would happen often. Also, by the drive-through window, if everyone was smoking weed in the basement, you could smell it at the window. So customers would be like, "What's that smell?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. Just pay for your food and get out of here."
So like the employees would just go in the basement and smoke weed
Oh yeah,
while they're working?
100%.
Oh wow.
Is that weird for a food place?
I mean, I don't know. I've heard it. I've only ever worked at one restaurant and they did not do that there, but
Oh, I mean, we would all drink heavily. Um, we would do that out in the open though, but the weed and any other drugs, horse tranquilizer, coke, anything was done downstairs.
what? All of these things were done in the basement at the pizza place?
Yeah.
You're telling the wrong stories here.
Yeah, I
People
mean,
were
people.
just in the basement, like taking horse tranquilizers while making pizza.
Yeah,
Was the pizza good?
yeah, it was
Did they
really
put
good.
drugs on the pizza?
No, but we put 7 Up or Sprite in the dough. That's the key to make your dough taste good.
And they did that intentionally or after they
Yeah,
took horse tranquilizers? Oh, that was not. It was unrelated to the drugs in the
unrelated.
basement.
That
The
was the
alleged,
recipe.
were they allegedly doing drugs in the basement?
No, they were doing drugs in the basement. I told
Oh,
you
this
this
place
place is
doesn't
closed
exist
down.
anymore.
Yeah,
Okay, right.
so it's okay.
Oh man.
Um, Actually, that was on my list to talk about, so we're good. I even
Oh.
forgot I put it on the list. So because everyone was doing drugs, of course, people would get hurt and sometimes have to go to the ER.
Oh gosh.
So I hope the insurance company isn't listening to this because sorry. But
Yes, I'm sure their insurance company is like, I want to check out this US
US
Fuel
Fuel.
podcast.
I don't
They
even know
have
what
all
insurance.
the dirt.
Yeah, I don't even know what insurance it was, but I did have to go to the ER once. I burned my fingers really bad because there was a spatula sitting in the grill. Like they just like set it in the grill to place it just to hold on for I don't know. There was really nowhere else to put it. So I accidentally bumped into the spatula because this place was like like 20 feet by 20 feet, and the spatula fell. I went to go grab it, and I grabbed the end that was sitting in the grill
Oh gosh.
and burned 2 of my fingers, and I could not stop crying. My boyfriend eventually had to come pick me up and bring me to the ER. So, and they wouldn't give me any drugs because I said I was going back to work, and so I went and picked up the drugs at the pharmacy and then took one. So forget you, hospital. But I would say it was after I left, but a couple other people got hurt and went to the ER, and then the insurance was like, "We're going to start drug testing people if they keep having to go to the ER."
Well, yeah, normally that's what you do. If somebody gets injured at work, you
They
normally
weren't.
drug test them. That's crazy.
They weren't drug testing any of us. They didn't ask about alcohol because when I didn't burn, I was sober when I burnt my fingers, but when I cut my finger really bad, I was drunk as fuck. But I didn't
At the
go to
pizza
the
place?
ER. Yeah, I didn't go to the ER for that one though. I just taped it up and it wouldn't stop bleeding. I should have gone to the ER. Whoops. But anyway, so yeah, the
Okay, so
insurance started drug testing everyone.
yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. But maybe the company just didn't require it because they knew that everyone would fail.
Well, I mean, the company, if the insurance company didn't ask our
Then they weren't
company to do
gonna.
it, they weren't going to do it. But
Okay, I
now,
see.
like when I worked at another place, the last place I'll talk about, they started, for some reason, the insurance wanted us to start doing random drug tests. So, like, 3 of us got our names picked out of a hat every couple months when they asked, and we had to go random
Mhm.
drug tests. But no, at this place, they were only asking if we went to the ER. Because
Oh,
then they could be like, we're not going to cover that because he was high at work or whatever.
right. And then you can't sue him for workers' comp because you
Yep.
were doing drugs at work. Okay, so same at the same place. I need stories about. So you were drunk as fuck and you cut your finger? Like I need to
Sometimes
hear this story.
I wasn't always drunk as fuck.
Okay, well, how'd you cut your finger?
I was just cutting tomatoes and I had my finger under the tomato like an idiot and just cut right through it. I don't know if you could see it.
Oh,
Sorry, audio people.
no.
It's too distorted, but there's
Do
like
one of these makeup tutorial
oh yeah,
things and put your hand behind it. Yes.
it's a
No,
white
I can't see
line.
it.
No, you can't see it.
That's it.
It's been too long. It's been over 10 years. I can still see it. But yeah, it wouldn't stop bleeding. My coworkers were trying to like bandage it up, but by the time they got the bandage on, it would already soak through with blood and stuff like that.
Oh
So
gosh.
it probably needed stitches, but the next day it was fine.
Yeah, it was alright. Did it hurt? Like,
Um,
could you feel it?
I'm not gonna say it didn't hurt, but I didn't
Okay.
cry.
Did you throw out the tomato?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure. You're like, no,
And
I made socks with it.
no, we might have been really screwed up all the time and stupid, but food safety was, I can't even say that because we failed health inspections all the time.
Oh gosh.
But that wasn't on us. That was because they never paid to upgrade any of the systems or get anything fixed. So like our walk-in cooler or our other coolers wouldn't be up to temperature, so we would have to like throw out anything that needed to be cooled off
Mm-hmm.
and then they would come back and be like, "We'll come back in a week and if you fix these things, we'll pass you."
Mm-mm.
So,
Did you eat there?
all the time.
Oh,
I mean, it was free food and I made it myself, so I trusted it. Another thing that happened, one of the cooks there was an alcoholic and he ended up having a stroke in the walk-in cooler.
oh my
And
God.
I opened up the walk-in cooler because I was like, where did he go? And I opened it and he's just laying on the floor. So he didn't want us to call 911 because he didn't have insurance. But I was like, no, I'm calling 911. Whether you go with them is your choice, but I'm not going to have it on my conscience to not call 911. So I called them. They were like, you need to come with us. Like it is bad.
That would be so scary.
It was terrifying. I was crying more than when I cut myself with the tomato knife.
Oh gosh.
Because I mean, I cared about him and I didn't want to see
Yeah.
him hurt or die. And I was like,
Did he end
you,
up being all right?
he was all right for the time. They got him to go in the ambulance actually and go to the hospital. So he did stop drinking and he was kind of taking care of himself a little better after that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that was just kind of like the last straw shock he needed to
Oh
get
gosh.
himself in a better place. But I mean, he was still unhealthy, so I'm sure he wasn't doing perfect after that, but he was doing a lot better.
Yeah. But he didn't die.
He
Is
did not
kind of
die.
more of a science. Like, oh damn, like that would be so scary.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Mm.
Speaking of people doing terrifying things, I forgot at that one job where I got fired.
Mm-hmm.
I could do a whole podcast on this guy that worked there. Um, but he was also an alcoholic, which is what made me remember this. There was one time he was trying to clean out the deep fryer, and to clean out a deep fryer, you have to remove all the oil and then you put it back at the end when you're done. He went to go put it back, didn't close the spigot. So when he put it into the deep fryer, it all came back out onto the floor.
Oh gosh.
And he had to have been drunk at the time or something because when everyone walked in, he was just sitting in the pile of the oil. And I mean, this guy ruined my life, so I don't care if you want to talk shit about him. But he didn't ruin my life, but he definitely didn't help with my childhood trauma.
Oh gosh.
Um, but yeah, he was just a shit human being that couldn't stop drinking and doing stupid things. So I didn't feel bad, but I thought it was kind of funny. I'm a terrible person, but
I mean, sometimes you get what's coming to you if you're a horrible person.
Yeah, and to laugh at him
You know, shitty stuff happens to you.
for just sitting in a mistake that he made in a vat of
Yeah.
oil, that's not the worst thing I could be laughing at someone for, so I think it was
Yeah.
justified.
Right. Um, I worked at one restaurant for like a year, and I have like a lot of crazy stories. Just like one of those things where, it's just people just take advantage of you. They expect you to go above and beyond the
Oh,
job, and you do
yeah.
everyone else's job, and you don't get any of the credit or any of the pay. So like, I'll start with like a funny thing that happened there one time. So I used to go to this restaurant a lot. So it was like a restaurant with a bar in it. It was a local owned, not a chain. Um, and so like I knew a lot of the regulars there because I used to be a regular there. And remember when those like hoverboard things came out? I don't know what they're called. So this is probably
Yeah.
like, I don't know, around like 2014, 2015, something like that. Well, somebody had one, and there was like a group of people were standing out back in like the delivery pickup area, like smoking cigarettes because here in Florida, I don't know what it's like everywhere else. Like you can't smoke at a bar if they serve food.
Mhm.
So like the regular bars here still can, but not if there's food.
That's
So they're
so
standing
weird to
outside.
me.
Yeah. They're standing outside smoking cigarettes, and then like somebody's on one of those, and so they're like trying to like let somebody else use it. And I'm in the kitchen running the dishwasher, and then all of a sudden someone just comes running in the kitchen. They're like, "Oh my God, so and so cracked their head," and I'm like, "Oh
Oh,
God!" So they're just like, bring that person into the kitchen. I'm like, into the kitchen? The dude's bleeding. Why are you coming into the kitchen? Like, take him to the hospital. So we wound up going to the hospital and getting staples, but like they brought him into the kitchen to clean him up. So like it's a busy like Friday or Saturday night, and dude's just like bleeding in the kitchen, and then there's like blood everywhere, like dripping all the way out to the back. I'm like, dude, somebody needs to clean this up. I'm not doing it. Yeah, that's my job, but I'm not cleaning up blood. I clean the floor. I don't clean blood.
that's a
Um,
biohazard.
yeah. So then, it was all on camera. So then we spent the whole rest of the night just like watching it on loop because it was. I mean, it was funny. I mean, the guy was okay. Like I'm friends with that person now, but like he wound up being fine and everything. But like it was just really funny to watch it because he gets on, he just does a like wibble wobble thing, and then just back, and like you could just see it, his like his eyes and his like oh shit moment as he just falls back and whacks his head on the freaking cement. Like it was terrifying, but yeah, like it's disgusting. Why would you bring him into the kitchen? He's bleeding.
Also, that's
So
dangerous. He becomes a hazard. If I'm working in a kitchen, I'm just flying around everywhere. Like I'm not
yeah,
noticing a bloody person on the ground.
yeah. So that like it was ridiculous, like the way they handled it. But I feel like they always handled stuff in the stupidest way like that. I mean, like, um, so like the day shift. I don't know what it's like now, but so when I worked day shift, if I was the day shift, I worked there part time, um, like in between jobs.
Hmm.
So, um, if I was the day shift driver, I was also the day shift bar back and the day shift dishwasher. So one person on day shift was washing the dishes, doing bar back, like filling all the ice, changing all the beer, doing the kegs, and also running deliveries. So like how am I doing a delivery and washing dishes at the same time? So I come back and the sink be overflowing, and they'd be like, "I need the dishes washed." I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing a fucking delivery." Like, and all of that for a server wage of $5.45 an hour. And then you get your tips. So the bartender tips you out and the servers tip you out because you're washing the dishes. Like, it's day shift. You're not making any fucking money. So I'm doing three people's job. And then, you bring it to their attention, and then it's, you're wrong and whatever. But so, I do that. And then, like, half the time the bartenders would be drunk. So you're also in the front, like, serving people their drinks because you can't find the bartender anywhere, and like and then they're getting the tips and you're getting like your little percentage of tip out. And it was just like, I don't know, I'm all for supporting local businesses, but it's really hard to support a local business when they're taking advantage of their employees. Like one person shouldn't be doing three people's jobs.
Oh, totally. And it's so hard to distinguish because like you said, you want to give the local business the money, and especially a smaller business where it's just like a
Yeah.
mom and pop type thing. But then you talk to someone who works there, you look in the back and everyone looks so miserable. And it's like, I
Yeah.
want to give you money so you could pay these people, but I also don't want to give you money because you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah. Well, like, and then a lot of days, like, if they'd have one cook on certain days, so you have one cook running all of the fryers and the grill, and so then again, I'm washing dishes and then also running the fryers while they run the grill because I couldn't run the grill. I'm like, this is a lot of stuff to be doing at one time. Or like a night shift. I worked a night shift one time and the the cook walked out. There was one cook scheduled. It was a Monday night and it was packed. And like granted, normally it wasn't very busy, but there was one cook and he walked out. So then I'm in the kitchen cooking and then also running the food and serving tables and doing deliveries. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And this is pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, pre nobody is like, oh, we don't have employees. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of companies do that now. Like, oh, we don't have employees. We can't get people to apply. Like, that's their excuses right now. What
Hmm.
most restaurants are saying. But like, this is before that. And you have people applying all the time, but you just don't want to pay them. Like,
Yeah.
that's not okay. That's way too much for one person to be doing at one time.
I mean, that's how my entire first job went. I thought that's just how things were run because
Yeah.
there would
But
be
this is
times
like, was your
when,
pizza place
sorry,
small?
yes.
Okay.
So it was usually like when I first started there, we still had a lot of like the original people from when it first opened. So there were people, managers that had been there 10 years or so. There were people in the pizza room who had been there 10 years, and it ran pretty well. So like we would have someone taking orders and someone doing the steam table and then someone doing fries and someone doing grill, and then we would have people in the pizza room doing pizzas. Well, by the time I left, I was the front. I was doing the phones, I was doing the registers, I was doing the fries, I was doing the fryer, the grill, the steam table. I mean,
Was
I
it dine-in also?
no,
Like, could you eat in there? No? Oh, okay,
but
so
I mean, at the end, it started getting so that we didn't get a lot of customers, so it did die down, and that was because they ran it so poorly.
mhm.
I mean, it would take over an hour to get deliveries regularly. It would take 30 minutes just to make your food, and we weren't fast food, but it shouldn't have taken more than 8 to 10 minutes. And it would regularly people would be sitting there for 30 to 40 minutes, and there's nowhere to sit.
Just, like, waiting for their to-go food?
Yeah, so I don't know how many times I cried at that job from people yelling at me
Oh
because
gosh.
it was a daily occurrence. I would get screamed at daily.
Yeah, this place was it's a local owned business and everything, but it's not small.
Yeah.
So, like, the capacity wise is not small. So it's not a one server, one bartender, one cook type of thing. Like, you need more than that.
Any restaurants
They just
listening, I
yeah.
don't care how small you are, you need more than 2 people working at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please. I'll get
Okay.
into my final job, which was the one I had before the 4-day one.
And it's the funny one?
I think it's funny.
Okay. Yeah. Take us out
So
with a laugh.
so this job is I was a rental agent, and I was kind of like a rental manager of a property. I don't even know what I was called. It doesn't matter. We rented out apartments. So we were all kind of weird, terrible, interesting, kind of messed up people that work there. So I'm not going to say exactly what everyone did or didn't do because I don't, some of them still work there and I don't want to somehow get them in trouble. But I'll give some stories about like the apartments themselves. So one group, while we were doing a posting on the door, they got the fire department called on them because all of their alarms started going off. So my friend Sam, she said I could name her, don't worry. Um, she was doing the postings and she was like, what the heck is going on? Apparently, these people had bed bugs, I think. She told me the
Oh
story.
God.
Yeah, she gave me a few of these stories, so I can't remember exactly all the details, but I'm pretty sure it was bed bugs, and they used that. I hate trying to pronounce this. Diatomaceous earth, is that what it's called? It's that like
I don't know what
powdery.
that is.
It's like powdery stuff that you put on your stuff when you have bed bugs, and it's supposed to kill them. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I've never had bed bugs. I don't know how that works.
I haven't either, but they literally dumped this crap all over like a 2,500 square foot apartment, and it set off all the smoke alarms, so the fire
Oh my
department had to
God.
come. Yeah. And we were like, why didn't you just come to us? We have a service that goes in and kills the bed bugs. Yeah, you're going to have to pay for it, but it would probably have been cheaper than the however many pounds of diatomaceous earth you had to buy to fill this
And
apartment.
safer.
Yeah, so they were just sitting there inhaling all this crap and then had to deal with the fire department. So who knows if they got charged for that.
Oh my
So
God.
I just thought that was one of the stupidest things among many stupid things that one of our renters have done. The owner himself, he was a character. I have a few stories about him. So he had a surgery. I'm not going to say what because I'm trying to be as vague as possible. But he had a surgery. He was kind of messed up on painkillers. He came into the office and was talking to us, and while doing so, peed himself and didn't realize. So I went up to someone else and I was like, I think he just peed his pants. And they went up and told him because I was kind of like on the lower end of the totem pole and
Mhm.
didn't want to just tell the owner that he peed
Like,
himself.
hey, you pissed yourself. Not cool unless you pee your pants.
Yeah, so I was just standing there. Like, there were a bunch of us, and I don't know how no one else noticed it, but I was like, he was wearing khakis.
Oh gosh.
So it was very noticeable. And so someone told him, and he said, I don't give a fuck. And I was like, okay,
Well, I
you
mean,
do
we don't.
you do you, boo. I don't know. Like, whatever. So also he had a car, almost said what kind, not gonna do that. Um, Also, not going to say what's on the back of it, but he had a lot of stuff, a lot of stickers and stuff he made himself on the back of this vehicle that made him look like a crazy person. One of those things,
Being vague makes the story so much more confusing.
I'll tell you that one of the things, because I know he doesn't have it on there anymore because he switched it up like every couple months, but like literally the whole back of his vehicle was just full of stickers and like posters and stuff. And one of them had Stormy Daniels on it. And a lot of it had Trump and a lot of it had Biden, so you know what type of person we're dealing with here. But yeah, the Stormy Daniels one really got me, and I do have a picture of it, and I'm not going to post it even though I really want to.
Oh, can you just post it like cropped out so all you see is the sticker?
um, well, it
Be
has
like,
multiple
boop.
stickers. I'll see what I can do because I might be
Yeah.
able to add a few photos to the video version of this. You could find it on YouTube. I have really terrible
Petition
editing
for
skills.
visuals.
I have terrible editing skills, but I will do my best. So
Wow.
also with this guy, he doesn't stop. He has his own radio show where he talks
What?
about things that are similar to what he posts on
Oh
the
my
back of
God,
his
can we
car.
get on it? Can we be guests on there?
I'm not going to say where it is, but it's far away from both of us, so probably not. But
Or an
I,
undisclosed location somewhere in the
yeah,
country.
but I really did want to go on it when I lived there, like so bad. Um, so yeah, anything that was on the back of his car, Trump, Biden, Stormy Daniels was stuff he would talk about on the radio show. Conspiracies.
Mm.
He didn't think they were conspiracies, but that's what they were. Also, Okay. If someone listens to this and they kind of know of who I might be talking about, they're definitely going to figure it out because I don't care anymore. So, the first month or so that I started working there, they told me to, sorry, I have to cough. I was getting like weird stuff in my throat happening. So, he asked me, well, someone asked me to go take a picture at this pancake house of the owner and someone else. And I was like, okay. So I took the digital camera, went down to this pancake house. It was motherfucking Bruce Rauner before was he governor of Illinois? Mayor? I don't know. I don't keep up with politics, but he was like the governor eventually. Um, and I was like, what is going on? So I get in there to take the picture, and it's just a crappy pancake house, like Denny's type thing that he's taking Bruce Rauner, future governor, to. And I go in there to take the picture, get like kind of closer to them, and this kid stands up. He looked like he was 16 with a weird little mustache, and he puts up his hand, goes, "Hey, hey, hey, who are you?" And I was like, "I was told to come here and take a picture." And he's like, "From who?" And I was like, "The owner's business." And he's like, "Okay, she checks out." And I was like, "What? You think you're Secret Service for Bruce Rauner? Get over yourself." So I was just like, okay, I took the crappiest picture ever and got the hell out of there. And
Still checks out.
the picture is still up in their office to this day. And it's just the shittiest like long table pancake house picture you will ever see. I
Do
do
you have
not have a
visual
picture.
aids?
No, I do.
Oh, bummer.
I know. I don't know anyone who works there anymore either. I would ask them to get it. And then the last thing about him is we worked together and he was talking to me about something. And I said I had a cold. And this was before COVID. So, I mean, you couldn't take off work because no one ever gave you PTO. Um, but he was like, oh, you need to get some euthanasia. And I was like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, euthanasia is really good for when you're sick. And I looked at him and I'm like, the fuck did you just say? But I just let it drop because there's no reasoning with this man. And so I went back to tell somebody because at the time I had no idea what echinacea was. And they were like, "No, this is what he means." And I was like, "Okay, good." Because I was like, "He's trying to tell me to die right now, basically." And I was so confused. And I just walked
Oh.
around with him for like half an hour after, just being confused. Like, what is he talking about? Echinacea.
Yeah, one of those times where it's like, yes, sometimes you just say the wrong word and it's the wrong word and whoops, whatever, and you're not trying to make fun of somebody for using the wrong word, but like
Right.
that's a big that is a big issue, like a big
Yeah.
misuse.
And if I knew what he was trying to say, I probably would have corrected him, but I had no idea what echinacea was at the time, so I was just like, guess he just wants me to die. I don't know what he means.
Oh gosh. Well,
And
I'm glad that somebody told you what he meant.
oh
You
yeah,
weren't like, oh well.
it was immediately after I went back and I was like, he just told me I needed euthanasia, and they're like, no, 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 no. So that was
Oh gosh.
weird. Another thing that happened while working there, we used to have to do inspections. So once or twice a year, we would go into people's apartments and just inspect it for like holes in the walls or something that needed to be fixed immediately so insurance didn't come after us for like unsafe conditions. And you can't trust renters to tell you when things go wrong. You just can't, especially
Yeah.
when you have over 1,000 apartments. So we would have to go through and we would check like I said, holes in the walls, stuff like that. Some people would check for weed. I didn't care if you had weed. That's not my problem. Um, and in one apartment, I didn't go in, but my friends did. They found some dude's giant butt plug, just
Like sitting
hanging out in the
out.
bathroom. Yep. And he was a trucker.
Maybe he was
So
washing it.
well, obviously, but we let people know when these inspections were going to happen.
Oh,
So I don't know if he was trying to let them find it or if it was a complete accident, but yeah, so giant butt plug. I found a shopping list that included lesbian fart porn, which I didn't know was a thing at the time. So of course I looked it up because I had to know. It's just girls farting on each other.
where were they shopping though? Was this a virtual shopping list?
We had a place, I almost said the name of it. There was a sex shop in downtown.
Oh, okay. I forgot
So
that, you used to be able to get porn places other than the internet.
yeah, so the sex shop, I'm wondering, I don't know if they just put that on there as like a joke because they knew we were coming, or if they were getting lesbian fart porn. No judgment either way, but I just thought it was funny to have on a shopping list.
I think that if I lived in an apartment and I knew that like maintenance or
Oh, I would
management would be
fuck with
coming
people
in,
all
I
the
would,
time.
yeah, I'd be putting some weird stuff out.
Yeah. Also, we saw a string of lights. You know how some people just put up lights all over just to be cute. It spelled out beef roll. We never got a confirmation on why. I do have a picture of that though.
Okay, you must put the visual. Do this. Tell
Okay.
us where you're gonna put it.
Well, it's probably gonna cover us. Anyway.
I know.
So,
I just really wanted you to go ding. But I want
ding,
if
just for you.
thank you, I appreciate it. If you're listening to this and your lights, those were your lights, you
Yeah,
need to
beef
tell us.
roll.
Let us know. Yeah.
BEEFROLL, beef roll.
If you lived somewhere in Illinois and you had those lights,
About
get at us on Twitter.
2015-ish. Yeah,
We need the story behind this, please.
yeah, because to this day, I do not know. Also, while me and my friend were going through, we knocked on this person's door and didn't hear anything and knocked a few more times. And then if that happens, we would still go in because we told them we're going in no matter what because we don't have time to come back. Like it was just,
Hmm.
there's thousands of apartments. We have crap to do. So we would go in and then announce ourselves and be like, "We're coming in." Oh shit. I'll bleep that. Damn it, more editing work for me. Anyway, so we would scream that we were there and we would walk in, then just do the inspection and leave. Um, so we walk in, we scream about it, and then someone comes out after us with a baseball bat. So they are running at us full speed, screaming. And so we get the hell out of the apartment and shut the door, and we're like, this is where we're from. You cannot come at us with a bat. We are coming in to do inspections. Put the fucking bat away. And they were like, I didn't know you were coming. I'm sleeping. I work night shift, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we post weeks ahead of time. Like in an apartment complex, you only, at least in Illinois, you only need to give 24 hours. Unless it's an emergency, then you can go in immediately. But we would give at least a week. So you cannot come at us with a baseball bat. Put that shit down, let us inspect, and we'll be on our way. So that was fun. Of course, we stood there and argued with her for a few minutes, but I did not like inspections because crap like that would happen all the time.
Yeah, that doesn't sound appealing to me at
I
all.
mean, I understand. I definitely understand not wanting other people to come into your place of living. I mean, it sucks, but like I said, people lie and don't tell us when things are going wrong. There were leaks all over the place.
Mm.
I mean, multiple apartments that had leaks, and that would run up people's water bill. So, I mean, we were just trying to help us and help them. So, and it was only once or twice a year. It wasn't like monthly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would get people that would attack us or not let us in or oh, this is kind of funny. There was someone who put a note on someone else's door. So they were both tenants. The girl put a note on someone else's door that said, oh, what did it say? I don't know, but the best line of it said, can you spare us the agony of having sex? Because she could hear their sex noises.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so she posted it on the person's door, the entire note talking about how they're being loud, they want quiet, and English was her second language. So she thought agony of having sex was like the correct phrase. And we told her, we saw the note, she brought us the note, and she was like, was this okay for me to do after she already did it? And I was like, oh my God. So they found the note and took a picture of it. And I have the picture so we can read the whole note. It doesn't have anything incriminating or any of that. So I'll put the note up too, but I just thought agony of having sex was the best phrase ever.
It's another one of those you misuse the words and it's just hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited about all the visual aids you're supplying us in this episode.
Yeah, I have to go through and then learn how to edit a video.
I can help you do that.
Surprise, I don't know how to do anything.
Surprise. I'm pretty good at editing stupid things. Not that this is stupid. The stuff we're gonna put as visual aids are stupid.
This could be considered stupid, but
yeah. Not to us.
That's why people want to listen to it, because who doesn't want to listen to two people talking about stupid shit all the time?
Yeah.
I'm not being sarcastic.
No, I know that. I know. Yeah, that's what we're here for. It's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Of this. Yeah.
All right. Well, we've run kind of long, so we should probably wrap it up.
Was that your last one?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you hit us up on Twitter at chillinchild with your funny or horrible or stupid work stories so we can talk about it in the future.
And please don't try and dox me. All right, we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.